2, what?
Oh, what's going on, guys?
That was the loudest clap I've ever heard in my life.
It was a loud clap.
My brain just went whoosh.
Guys, so my guest didn't allow me to introduce him.
Oh,
but I'm here with Raghav. I think he's traumatized from, our cameraman clapping us in, but...
That was very good.
Okay, apart from...
I'm not used to people clapping when I'm around.
Really?
No, that was... Yeah.
Round of applause for Raghav. So, guys, Raghav is here, one of my 2000s favorites, and now you're back on the scene, and we've got so much to talk about. But first up, let's talk about your new track, Desperado, with Teshar.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how that project came together first.
So, just before COVID, I got back in the studio with Mushtaq. Like, when I mean just before COVID, like the world shut down March 13th, we were in the studio on like March 10th. And we just felt the magic again after a long time,
Yeah.
Life takes you in different places. I mean, Mush moved to a different part of the world. I moved to a different part of the world. Family, I had a daughter, and it was just like, we just never connected where it was like magic. And when we worked together, just before COVID, it was magic again. And then COVID happened. And I was like, oh no, like this is like gonna put a damper in everything. And then we got back together a year and a half ago, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And so a year and a half ago is when we started the Desperado writing session. And it was, like I said, it was just magic. And from the moment we wrote the record and it had the Latin influence, we were just like, Teshar has to feature on this.
Yeah.
So, and when I played it to Tesh, he was just, actually I sent Tesh 2 or 3 songs just because I knew that from a symbolic perspective, the respect I have for him and his records, the two that obviously everyone knows the most, and his artistry, I wanted him to be on the first album or these first few batch of songs no matter what. But in my heart, I was just hoping he'd pick Desperado. And he came back and he's like, Desperado. And I was like, yes. And he's just amazing, man. The guy's talented and kind. And, we both grew up in a similar part of Canada. We have the same sense of humor. So I kind of feel like I gained a little brother on this one,
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Do you think, so when you decided, okay, you need Teshar on this album, was that before Jalebi Baby or after?
You want a really funny story I don't think anyone even knows. Maybe I mentioned it once before, is I had heard Jalebi Baby when it was like, before it was really a big deal at all. And someone had sent it to me and said, oh, this is like, this has got all the right ingredients to be a pop hit. What do you think? And I said, I need to sign this record.
Yeah.
So I actually, at the time, I was finding out how to get a hold of Teshar. I think I DM'd him on Twitter. I was like, I need to sign this song. I want to sign it. And within like 2 weeks of me having interest in the record, it just went.
Wow.
And then Universal was calling me. Universal Canada had called me and said, hey, what do you know about Teshar? And I was like, I know that I love this song. I don't really know much else about him. And within a month, I think he was signed to Capitol in the States. And it was just like, it just changed overnight kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was aware of Teshar's art, I was aware of Teshar as an artist before Jalebi Baby really popped off. But I was like, I have got to sign the song to my label, But so that didn't happen, but this did. So.
But this did. Yes, I love that. So you're back now. In the 2000s, we had Angel Eyes, So Confused. They were all hits and everyone was playing you. And then after that, you slowed down and almost like you disappeared a bit from the scene. So in that stage, what were you doing? What was the reason that you went so quiet?
So it's interesting because it probably seemed to the world like I was very quiet, and I do understand that. But, until COVID happened, there wasn't a 7 or 10 day period where I was ever in the same city.
Okay.
I was always touring or in the studio or doing something. I did a lot of work in between, released a couple more albums after, did Ishq Shava with A.R. Rahman for Jab Tak Hai Jaan. Like, I was always having moments, but I'm not saying that to counter what you're saying. I understand, there were some moments of frustration and joy that were combined where you're like, when you have a moment like Angel Eyes or the songs that you mentioned.
Because those were very hyped, like they were out there, right?
And it's almost like you can't outrun that initial success no matter what you do.
Yeah.
I would put out a ballad and someone would say, why doesn't this sound like Angel Eyes? I'm like, well, like I do more than that. But you get it. And the truth of the matter is that the first album was signed to a major label, you know, and it had a kind of push that I, as a human being, citizen of Canada, couldn't afford to do, you know. And when you have that kind of support amplifying your art, and the art is good, that is when people go, hey, we've fallen in love with this project or with this artist. Once you lose that and you're doing it independently, you have to learn what that is. You know, it's like getting a divorce. It's like all of a sudden now you're doing everything differently.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a real learning process. Also, when I would go to India, because I was like, okay, if it's more difficult here, listen, there were labels here in England after I sold 1 million albums that were like, listen, we think you're incredibly talented, but you should change your name because it's too Indian. And I was like, oh, that's a bizarre ask, because I'm selling out auditoriums, or in some cases stadiums. I'm selling millions of records, and now all of a sudden, for me to continue what would be qualified as a mainstream music career, you want me to change my name brand? Well, I thought it would alienate my fans. B, it was completely against what I felt I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But they just thought we were entering a more culturally ambiguous time where maybe you just didn't want to promote the fact that you were Indian. So I kind of doubled down. I called my next album Identity, passive aggressively, and put a bunch of Indian songs on there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was real hard to learn how to be beyond just a singer-songwriter and a performer, how to be someone that spends money on your own music and tries to profit from it. And I've had successes and failures over the last 18, 19 years that hopefully have led me to a point now where now that I'm really aggressively, I don't think there's any other word for it, I'm making a comeback, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to enter a market that I was once at the top of.
Yeah.
And what's really beautiful is, as this record's come out that has the ingredients that will make people feel a certain way about what they know of me, the reactions that I'm getting online are like so positive that it validates kind of what I've been trying to do, if that makes sense, you know? So hopefully we can just keep it going, and it all has the right energy around it, and people feel it.
With this track, Desperado, did you feel a sense of pressure, in the sense you need this to go viral? Because TikTok is huge these days, right?
Yeah.
And the tracks that go viral on there are sadly the ones that are really popular and are top of the charts for ages, just because of, you know, a viral clip on TikTok. So did you feel that pressure that this needs to be a viral hit?
Well, I mean, pressure is the wrong word. I didn't have a TikTok account till like a couple of weeks ago, when I'm barely on there. So I look at it two ways. Like, yes, obviously that's a component in having a hit record.
Yeah.
It is an important component, but you can't force it.
No.
Like during COVID, really what made me so confident about this resurgence of of the love that I was getting and the music I wanted to make was that just sitting at home during COVID, when I was doing the least work, I was getting the most love, because people had to go home and just be with themselves. And they were like, what movies do we want to watch? What shows do we want to binge watch? What music do we want to listen to? And they went to what they love. And it was pretty clear from the millions of reels and what was going on is that my historic music held a special place in people's hearts.
Yeah.
What was even more amazing was that a new generation of fans who were never around maybe to experience, like they were 7 years old when their older sister was at the club listening to my music, all of a sudden now they were loving it.
Yeah.
And they were making reels to it. So it's like, it's so funny, this dance troupe called the Quick Style.
Oh, I love them.
Okay, they just did a reel to one of my songs.
Yeah.
Let's Work It Out. And it's got like 42 million views. And it happened like a month ago. And it's trending all over India. The song is back in the chart.
Yeah.
And it's like, this Let's Work It Out came out 19 years ago. And when you look at the comments, people are like, oh my God, Raghav's amazing. And it's great to have him back. And then there are these other kids who must be like in their early to late teens. And they're like, yo, this record sounds dope. When is it dropping? And I'm like 19 years ago. 19 years ago. Yeah, I'm like, go find it. This came out 19 years ago, beta.
Wow.
So that's a good feeling when people are like, yo, this is fresh. When's it coming out?
And you have like a whole new fan base now.
You know, whether they're fans of me or they become fans of the music, the idea that they're like, hey, we get what he's trying to do here and it resonates with us. There is something about being Indian, South Asian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, whatever it is, right? Sri Lankan. I'm not trying to leave anybody out on purpose. Everybody.
All the South
Okay,
Asia.
I'm like, think of all the brown countries. Think of all the brown countries. There's something about that where it's just like, yeah, that music resonates. Chura liya, leke pehla pehla pyar, kabhi aaj kabhi paar. All those songs, like, they didn't just die in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s. Like, my daughter's going to listen to those records. They're going to bring out the same emotion in her that they brought out in me when I made the records, and now these kids now.
For sure. I want to kind of talk to you about going into the mainstream industry. Why do you think there is such a glass ceiling for the South Asian artists to enter that industry? I mean, we've seen Diljit at Coachella now, and people are a lot more accepting of our Desi music, Punjabi music. You are Indo-Canadian, and some may see it as like you're in the perfect position to go into the mainstream, right? Why do you think there is that barrier?
You know, from my personal experience, there was because I did have a lot of mainstream success early in my career.
Did. Yeah.
And when that platform was slowly taken away from me, I felt a little bit like used.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit like the mainstream. I hate this word. Let me start again. I feel a little bit like some of the outlets that were like, hey, let's do an India Day thing.
Like you're a diversity checkbox.
I felt like a bit of a novelty.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter how I felt, because actually I was benefiting from still being the guy that they would call to do it. Yeah. It's only over a period of time that you realize, oh, this is kind of, maybe they're looking upon it as a novelty somewhat. And then when you start to feel like that, then you look at your fans who love you, who come to every show, who buy every record, who send you fan mail, who do all the things that fans do. And you're like, oh, I think they think that they're a novelty too. Yeah. And it's like they're treating the media outlets that have supported me like novelty. Yeah. It's like it's so hard to explain, because I don't think people's heart were in the wrong places. Yes, there's racism. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I could write a book on that. But not everybody had their heart in the wrong place. But it just felt unequal. You know, the idea that someone like me, who sold 1 million albums and was selling out stadiums in parts of the world, in North America, I'm not just talking about like India and Pakistan, I was selling out stadiums in America and doing auditoriums, would be asked to change his name to make it less ethnic. Yeah. I think today we would say it's disgusting. At that time, it was like, well, what do you want to do? How you want to stay in the business, you know?
So if you don't change it, basically you're gone.
Well,
kind of.
I think the insinuation was that there is a glass ceiling if you continue to be someone who refuses to be culturally ambiguous. Yeah. That maybe you know, I think the plot for some of those folks were, why don't we use your fan base as a stepping stone to a place where you never have to do anything that puts you in a lane where you're just that. Now, I almost like understand their point, but that didn't mean that I wasn't viscerally offended by it. You know what I mean? Of course. So I didn't do that. I paid a price for that. You know, I did pay a price for that in terms of, okay, well, you just do your Indian thing, dude. But it's so different now in one sense. I don't really see the need. I don't think there is a mainstream. You know, if Arijit Singh tomorrow woke up with Western artist streams, he would be having a terrible day. He'd be like, get me out of here. I want my 1 billion streams. Yeah. I don't want your 120 million streams. No. So I think there's less of a sense now. I almost say like generationally, like when my parents moved to Canada, there was this sense in India amongst the family that, oh, they're going to a better life, right? Mm. Now, when my family in India, I'm like, hey, would any of you move to Canada? They're like, no.
They are living it up there.
Yeah,
they
they're
have
like,
the
we're
best
cool.
life. Yeah.
We're going for kebabs tonight. We're going to be at a wedding tomorrow. Yeah. And we are just fine.
Living life.
So the world has changed totally. So when I see Diljit at Coachella, I don't see it as acceptance from Coachella. Yeah. I see it as Coachella needs us. Mm. They need, they're going, well, how do we stay relevant in a world where people love music without us telling them what to love? Yeah. They just love what they love. Well, now it's a meritocracy. Now we have to bring in stuff that people love. So is it a moment of immense pride? Of course it is. Yeah. Particularly for the Punjabi community. Yeah, of course. Who deserves it maybe more than any other community in India. They've been. I sometimes feel that it's like Punjabi music was treated on the periphery of where Bollywood music is,
Yeah,
even in its influence. So the fact that that is happening now, I'm not Punjabi myself. I'm extra proud of it in a way.
Yeah.
Because it says we're all Indian, or we're all Desi, or we're all,
Yeah.
again, Sri Lankan, Bangladeshi, everybody, you know what I'm saying?
Nation?
Well, my point is, yes, and everybody will have that. It's not
Yeah.
regional.
No,
It's
no,
who
no.
we are.
Yeah.
It's part of all of us. So, is there a glass ceiling? Yeah, maybe in some rooms there is. But if there's a glass ceiling in your room, you need to go to another room. And now we
maybe
have
to
the
break
option to
it.
do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back,
Oh
Trenders.
my goodness.
Again.
The clap.
Again.
It's a very
He's
loud
very
clap.
violent, isn't he?
No, violence is the wrong word. It's just that's a pro. That is a professional clap.
A
When I
professional
do
clap.
interviews, people are like, 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
He's
now. And he's like, now.
Oh, my goodness, another one.
Another one.
What are they putting in the water in Birmingham that you guys are all...
It's something else, I'm telling you. It's not in Canada, I can tell you that for sure. Okay, it's now time for my quick fire round.
Okay.
So, they're very easy questions.
Okay, thank you.
If you were hosting a dinner
Yeah.
and you had to invite 5 guests,
Yeah.
dead or alive, who would they be?
I have a funny joke about this question that I
Okay,
can't
go on.
use. Well, I don't want to get in trouble, but people used to ask me if you could have dinner with anyone that I can't say it. It's so bad.
Are you going to get cancelled?
No, it's just because it's a political joke. But people say if you could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, I would say I have dinner with Dick Cheney dead. But I don't mean that. That's a joke.
It's a joke. Don't cancel him.
Yeah, he's very much alive. Okay, if I could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be? Barack Obama, Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, I wouldn't have time to talk to the other 3 people if Barack Obama and Mahatma Gandhi were at the party, you know?
They're enjoying the food.
Yeah. Maybe Stevie Wonder.
Oh.
Maya Angelou.
Oh, wow. We've got a nice little mix here.
Let me think. Let me pick someone. I think Maya Angelou passed. Let me think. I need a 5th person.
Yeah.
I would pick John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. That is a very interesting group of people.
Yeah. 2 presidents. That was maybe a little boring.
Love that. Okay. Who would be your dream collab?
Stevie Wonder. I'd ask him at the party.
Yes. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Barack, 1 second. Stevie and I got to talk
We're
about
gonna
something.
talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you watched Men in Black?
I watched it like 20 years ago. I forget.
Okay, do you remember that clicky thing to
Oh,
erase the memory?
it makes you erase what you've
Yeah.
seen. Yes, yeah.
So if you had that and you had the power to erase one of your songs from everyone's memory, what song would it be?
No, I can't say that because other people would have worked on that song. I can't say that. I cannot do that because I'll say it and then I'll get a call being like, Raghav, why did you say that, Mike? Ye to hamara gana hai.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can't do that.
I understand.
No,
You're
I can't do
sparing
that.
everyone's feelings.
I'm
But
no.
do you have a song in your head?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
He's going to tell us off camera.
Yeah, I'll tell you off camera. But I love you guys.
Okay, what is the weirdest food combination you enjoy?
Sushi and champagne. That's not that weird.
That's bushy. I love that.
Okay, so I'm just hungry. Okay.
Yeah, you just
What's a food
like
combination?
a weird combination.
I like egg curry. People tell me that's weird, but that's not weird
No,
either.
I think that's normal.
Okay. Well, I can't. Well, I guess I'm just eat everything. I guess.
Okay,
I don't know. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. What is the worst chat-up line you've ever used?
What's the worst pickup line I've ever used?
I'll pick up line.
Yeah. All my pickup lines have been equally bad. That's why I'm still single, unfortunately. So I think for me to pick which pickup line was the worst would be like which piece smells the least. Like I'm obviously this is something I'm not
This
good
is
at.
obviously bad.
Yeah.
Just play one of his songs. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your guilty pleasure?
Country music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
90s country music.
Okay. I've got no idea.
Now I might
what
really
could
get
even-
cancelled.
Okay. What is your favorite childhood movie?
Shakti.
Okay.
Amitabh Bachchan.
I
Dilip
love
Kumar.
that. All right. What is a red flag in the industry?
Dishonesty. Yeah. Bad communication and dishonesty.
Okay, what is your go-to takeaway? So a takeaway like, you know, outdoor food, like fast food.
I get a pineapple and buffalo chicken burger from a place that's down the road from me in Canada, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, I thought it was the least interesting I've said, but okay.
Pineapple and buffalo burger?
Pineapple and buffalo chicken.
Buffalo chicken?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got ranch. It's got ranch on it.
Okay.
It's a very North American thing.
How do you feel about like pineapple on pizza?
Yeah, I love pineapple. I think pineapple belongs. It was made for pizza.
I like pineapple on pizza, but I've never heard of pineapple on a burger. Wow.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
When you come to Canada, you can try that.
When we go to Canada. Now, talking about when we're going to Canada.
Very good.
Are we going to be seeing you later on this year at our BritAsia Awards?
I just found out that you are doing BritAsia Awards this year in Canada. So if I am invited,
which you will be,
which I hope to be, I will most definitely do my best to be there. I hope to be there, yes.
Okay, good. We're going to hold you to that, and I promise we're not going to do you dirty like that 2018 video.
Oh no, you guys were fine. I just don't know what I was wearing. Please don't bring it up. I don't know what I was wearing. I was just like out that day, and all of a sudden they're like, "Come to the BritAsia Awards." I'm like, "Okay," and I sang a song, and I just
last minute thing.
Everyone keeps sending it to me, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, what am I wearing?" You know?
It's okay. We've given you like advance notice now.
Yeah, and I'll still mess it up.
Someone book him a stylist, please.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Please.
So guys, that is our news. We are coming to Canada for our awards, but a little bit of that later on.